in the half-light of evening, with the soot-flecked sky glowing faintly orange, your character finds themselves drawn to a forgotten corner of Amacora's Rust Belt, for lack of a better word. An overgrown alley, it's choked with wired vines almost, and discarded gears and parts from different clanks and various constructs that have been thrown away after tests, discarded prototypes and the like. Occasionally steam hisses out from a nearby vent or pipe that still is above ground at this point on the edge of the city. At the center of one of these piles of junk rests an odd sort of construct that you would have otherwise overlooked as being another discarded element, except it is in humanoid form, and it seems to almost be seated cross-legged, head slightly down, eyes, if it even has such a thing, are closed, and at first it doesn't really regard you. You look a little bit closer and you notice that its surface is antique brass and oxidized copper and various other metals cobbled together from different sources. It's covered in what appear to be sigils and glyphs, unlike anything you've ever seen before. Certainly not the mark of a inventor or tinkerer that you know, and definitely nothing like this has ever been seen in a clank before in the history of your time here. Now, in the center of the chest, you notice that there is one central gear that just spins gently. It whines almost softly. And then all of a sudden, this construct begins whispering in little bursts with a most sort of distant and static-like voice.
Creator. Not. Forgotten. Clock unwinds. Is the water warm? Creator. Not forgotten. Clock unwinding. Is the water warm yet?
All of a sudden, the air to you feels charged with electricity. The hair on the back of your neck gently stands up, and the clank's eyes flicker open and regards you. Rich, tell us what we see.
You see a man of average height, molten black rock skin, with just a hint of embers inside glowing. No hair, glowing red eyes, leather gambeson armor to stay dexterous, a dagger on the hilt, and a perplexed look in his eye as he stands confused. You there! You! Who's your maker?
Creator. Not. Forgotten.
I heard that, but who is your creator? I don't recognize these symbols.
Why don't you roll a presence check for me and see how this affects this thing?
17 with fear.
I'm going to take a fear. You do manage to get through, but it's almost immediately evident why the fear in the scene changes slightly at this point. You ask it who its creator is, and it turns. Its head looks right at you now, its eyes changing from a soft, almost calming amber to something much more sort of radiating and blue.
Creator. Aurora Flux. Inventor. Fellow Clank. Amacora citizen.
Oh. That makes sense. How did you get out here?
Memory system not stable. How did you get out here, Cheester?
I'm gonna kind of put my hand on my blade. I want to scan the environment for traps. I don't know why this random clank knows my name.
Why don't you make an instinct roll if you want to scan? You're looking for traps?
It's gonna be a 13 with hope.
A 13 with hope will succeed. I would say to you that as you scan around and you look closer at the sigils and glyphs that are on the body of this small construct, there would be one that stands out as familiar to you. Can you tell me what that symbol would look like and how it relates to your backstory and why on earth it would be etched into this clank that you've never had any encounter with before?
It's a symbol of a hand, of a simia hand. This is a product of the rival gang family, the simia gang family. Possibly they helped develop this special kind of species of clank with Aurora. But why? I don't know why. I want to move closer.
As you move closer, you see it begin to... It moves and kind of straightens itself up and like turns its head to consider you. It doesn't back away so much as it does sort of maybe present itself in a more formalized way. It looks at you and it says,
Cheester.
Chester.
Chester.
Good job. Good job.
Chester, tell me, do you remember the 10th coil?
What's the 10th coil?
well, you'd have to roll a knowledge check to see if you know what that is.
16 with fear.
A 16 with fear. I'm going to take that fear.
And the fear is a product of this random clank knowing my name. My confusion as to why he's here. I walk this path a lot and I've never seen him here before.
Well, in this case, the 16 does succeed, and you know what the 10th coil is, and it strikes you to your core. As a matter of fact, at the mention of the 10th coil in this Clank's question, you're immediately drawn back into your past, an earlier time before you came to Amakora, long before you came to Amakora, when you were all the way across the continent on the other side, nearer to Haven's Reach. You remember there being a group of scientists, for lack of a better word. You didn't quite understand who they were, what they were. They were known in your city as some real oddballs that were messing around with different kinds of playthings, almost similar to the Clanks we know today. But what they used to talk about in the bars and the pubs was how they could make a thing, how they could invent life. They used to talk about the gods and how man should be able to consider inventing life as well, given that we have the means to do so now. And so they spoke about, once you heard them, speaking of this idea that most clanks, most automatons, most constructs could be powered by a mild battery power source or something pneumatic and something possibly steam-driven. And then, of course, with the right gears and motors and mechanisms, they could be made to do whatever you want. They could walk your dog. They could feed your animals. They could plow your fields. But then it was discovered that these power sources could be made from Andira. And the arcane energy source from Andira actually imbued those batteries with a secondary energy, one that resembled the resonance of the soul of a being. One battery coil would produce so much of this, 5, a little bit more. The problem was the risk of something exploding once you got too high of a power source in place was too great, and these inventors never took the chance. It was with the addition of the 10th coil that sentience was granted to these automatons. And you remember that conversation as you sat drinking away some of your sorrows at the bar one night, listening to these madmen talk about their inventions.
Coming out of that vision, I'm going to walk right up to the clank. I'm going to get down on my knees so I'm eye level with him. I'm going to look him in the eye and say, "You're an abomination."
Chester, I sense aggression.
And I hug him. As I hold him, I want to tell him, "You should never have been created. They are pushing the bounds too far, trying to play God." And as I say this, the embers in my skin start to light up and get hotter and hotter. And say, "They did not ask permission in creating you. You were stolen from another. It is diabolical. It is unnatural." And as I say this, the fire begins to seep from the cracks of my molten rock skin. I'm going to attempt to melt him in my arms as I'm holding him.
Excellent.
This is using the Emberkin's ability.
As you begin to heat yourself up for this action, you also notice that the metal itself, as it heats with your body temperature rising, the metal itself begins to almost sort of push, evolve, move. You notice that there is this liquid core down near the gear that was turning earlier. You've pulled him in tight, but you can almost see right down his back, and you can see the liquid core begin to slowly bubble. There's a few jerky motions as things seem to become a little bit erratic with it.
Go to sleep. Go to sleep.
Chester.
Stop fighting it. Stop fighting it.
Chester, you should know that my power core is becoming unstable, and you do risk injury or harm to yourself if you continue.
I'm not gonna back up. Okay. You warned me. You didn't have to do that. I'm gonna get going now, okay?
As you sort of reconsider your actions and begin to turn, you hear footsteps coming up behind you. You spin around on one heel.
And I want to step on the backside so that this clank is between me and who's ever approaching.
Okay, so you wheel around. This clank is now between you. And what you see approaching is actually another construct of sorts. This one much taller, much more erect in its posture, much more sort of studied and focused on you. And frankly, the gait is aggressive and moving towards you. There are 3 men behind this automaton. This one appears to present as female in its voice and its sort of attempt at some kind of headpiece that resembles hair. She approaches and she says,
"You there? State your business. What is this construct doing with you?"
I don't know. I walk this path every day, never seen it before. I walk today, here he is.
She rolls up a little bit closer to both of you, reaches down, and from her hand produces a small system of rods and gears, sort of comes out, inserts itself into a port on the smaller automaton, turns gently, and there's a moment of pause as her eyes sort of flick up, and she looks back at you and she says,
"This is a model we have not seen before. These have been deemed illegal in the city of Amakora. I will give you one last chance to state your business."
I know they're illegal. Doesn't he feel hot to the touch? I was attempting to eradicate him. But after finding out that it would have harmed me, I took a step back. I know who invented this. Aurora Flux.
of Amakora.
She's working with the crime family.
And with that, the small construct turns, its gears sort of whirring in its head. It's like, it turns and looks at you. And it says,
Chester, I knew your mother. And if you take me from here, I can help you.
I need to roll something to see if this little fucker is lying.
why don't you roll an instinct check?
16 with fear.
I will take that fear. You notice immediately the answer to your question is simple. Is the clank lying? It almost seems to sense your inability to trust it. Because just as you're weighing whether or not this clank is telling the truth, that same region near the gear in the center, a small door opens up on its body, about 6 inches high. And oddly, there is this really small arcane image that flicks to light inside that space. And there inside that space, you see what appears to almost be the projected image of your mother, standing there looking at you. And then the door closes back down.
That can't be right. How did you do that?
It does not matter now, Chester. What matters now is that we get away from this enforcer clank.
I'm gonna take him with me.
That cannot be permitted. We will need to take the clank with us where it will be deactivated and destroyed.
I pull the fire from within my skin that's been burning up. I throw it in this clank's face, distracting it, attempting to grab the other clank and run.
First of all, you're trying to deal some kind of damage. You're trying to, use this fire against this construct. So first roll the attack roll. Let's see where it goes.
It's critical success.
Critical success.
Critical success.
Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Number one, I'm assuming in this move, since you said you're trying to distract to grab the clank to run, I'm going to allow you to describe how this goes down. Now, you can either A, just deal straight damage, as a critical success would dictate. B, I'm going to let you have the narrative. If you want to utilize this success to run, I'm going to let you do that too.
I'm going to take the narrative. I take the fire from inside of me and I throw it in this clank's face. The clank falls back in distraction, in heat, in uncomfortability. I grab the clank. I turn. I put him almost over my shoulder and I run in the opposite direction, dodging between trees, dodging between shrubbery, looking for the secret passageway I know back into the city. I work with the Executioner's Guild. I know my way around the city.
Okay. I love this. The fire emanates from you, exploding in the clank's face. The clank stumbles backwards, catching a piece of the wired vine on the ground, falling backwards. 2 of her henchmen, falchions just about to be drawn at this action, try to catch her. Clanks are extremely heavy, and so she falls backwards onto them as you begin to make your escape. Now, working with the Executioner's Guild would give you some kind of leg up on finding a way out of here. Where are you taking this clank?
Home base. We have a mechanics expert there that can find out what kind of trickery is going on here, what kind of unholy magic.
The small construct that you're carrying in your arms as you begin to race through the city back to your home base. Its geared arm, mechanical arm, as you're carrying it, reaches into a small contained area on its body. A drawer opens up. It reaches in and it pulls out this small 3-geared mechanism held together with a series of bars and interlocking bolts. The gears almost appear to have a glow about them. It hands it to you as you're running. You grab it, snatch it from it, put it into your pocket. And as you do, you feel a warmth resonating from this object. You don't know what it is yet. But when you get back to the home base, it's something that you can certainly research.
What's your name? As we're running through the city.
Chester. My name. What? My name. Accessing. My name is Wasp.
Wasp? Okay. Wasp it is. And we're gonna run through the streets, through the paths I know, to somewhere I can figure out all this craziness I've been stumbled upon.
Okay. You now possess both a small construct that seems to have some kind of connection to your history, and you also have a token, a gift that was given to you, seemingly magical in nature. You have yet to figure out what that is. The two of you race through the streets, eventually finding your way back to your home base. You've turned a couple of heads along the way, but nothing new. You know how to stick to the shadows and keep yourself out of sight of most people. And as you return to the home base, you place Wasp down on the floor of your dwelling. And we're going to close there. All right, so this was our first attempt at what we're going to call Daggerheart Slims, which I love the name. Thanks for coming up with that.
Of course, anytime.
That was good. So what we're trying to do is we're doing these little vignettes, Daggerheart characters in Daggerheart scenarios, but as 20 to 30 minute little moments. Now, for now, we're going to do a bunch of these together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
they might be connected, they might not be.
I think in the beginning, the plan was you were going to play a bunch of different classes and ancestries and communities, and then we might put it to all of you to decide who goes on. Like
what you want to see in a longer form, let's say if it's a season, if this is a conglomeration of episodes of a TV show you would watch on Cartoon Network or something, what would you want to see a full season of? What character, what story?
So for now, we're going to test out a bunch. We're going to test out a bunch of storylines. They won't all be in Amakora. They won't all deal with clanks, but we want to hear from you when this is done. So hopefully you like this and it's digestible. Let us know in the comments what you think of it. We would love to know more, and don't forget to follow us. All right, you guys, take care.